one day, I got this big bolt through me that he was in love with my best friend, and I went down there, and sure enough, he was, and it was, yeah, it was a real shock. Like it was a big shock. The marriage counselor said to Dave, "Why did you marry an emotionally unstable woman?" And it was
Oh,
like, oh my goodness.
real women, real marriage turnarounds. This is the Empowered Wife Podcast. My guest, Tess's husband, fell in love with her best friend, and she spent the next 6 years in a tense marriage full of resentment. But today, her marriage is sweet and tender, and her husband says he wants to marry her all over again. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. Tess, welcome to the Empowered Wife Podcast. I'm so excited you're here. The first thing I would love to hear, actually, I would totally love to hear, is like how you met your husband and what first attracted you to him.
Mm. Oh. Well, Laura, I first met my husband, it was in 1976, and I'd just come back from Australia, and I was a nurse at that time, and I'd gone to the hospital to get a job. And in those days, you all went up in a group, and you all met, and the matron, she would give you a little, rundown on how everything went. And there was two of us that went to the same surgical ward, and we became best friends. And it just so happened that our birthdays were on the same day. So when she had a birthday party, she made one for both of us and invited my husband, who I didn't know was going to be my husband then. And so I met him at my birthday party at her house, and he lived in another town. So it was just love at first sight. And I thought he was handsome. Well, he still is, and assertive, and so knowledgeable. Yeah, I loved all of those things about him. So I kind of kept pinching myself thinking, oh my goodness, like, is this really true? Like, has he chosen me? So yeah, it was gorgeous. And and then he moved up. He moved up here to New Plymouth.
How far
Mm.
did he have to move to?
It's probably about 4 hour drive.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
probably not much in terms of like, the USA, like where there's big, it's huge, isn't it? So 4 hours, I mean, it's quite a long way, really.
That's
But
pretty far. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
I
So
mean, so he had to move to be near you.
he did. He moved to be near me, and he was just thinking about moving to over to the East Coast. We live on the West Coast, and he was just about prepared to do this big change in his life and move over to the East Coast. So yeah, so he met me, so that he changed his plans, and it was amazing. It was
That sounds amazing.
and also he was born in Africa, so he came out to New Zealand when he was 13. So
So he
yeah,
was an immigrant to your country.
well, yes, his parents were from England. His parents were from England, and they went
England.
over to
Okay.
Africa. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
he was an immigrant, so
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
lucky that he came here, and I got to meet him. I mean, who would have thought that I would have a husband, from in another country?
That's true.
Mm.
So it sounds like it was a great romantic adventure that started with running into him at this party, getting introduced to him at this party
It
with
was. It was
friends.
amazing. Yeah, it was. I just wasn't expecting it, and well, I mean, that's the best way, isn't it? It's like just something that happened out of the blue, and I'd had lots of different boyfriends, and I always thought that when I was 14, that boyfriend, he would be my husband, of course. At 14, it's like, yes, so romantic.
Yeah. How did you know that he was the one? Was there a moment that, or something he did or said, or that had you think, okay, this is really special?
Yeah, well, gosh, I probably wasn't. I think it was kind of the spark, this. Well, he just told me all the time that he loved me, and I just loved that. Like I was just drinking it up like a sponge. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and it's like, wow. I didn't know then, that it was hard to take in. It was hard to receive. It was hard to receive because, yeah, I wasn't really confident. I mean, I was warm and wanted love, but it was like being able to receive all that love. It was so, I guess it was kind of that. It was like that he was just always telling me that he loved me, and he said he felt stoned for 2 years just in love with me. so, so it was like, hey, it was, yeah. And he used to, so when he moved up, he used to work at a nursery and he would bring me flowers home every day. Big
Every day.
bunch every day, like every day. And it was like, oh, another bunch of flowers, like, I mean, how, it was a little bit blasé, but, and they were like big bunches of gypsophila. I don't know if you know gypsophila. It's beautiful. It's little tiny white fairy flowers. They're gorgeous. But he brought them home from his nursery on his bike. He biked there. And so that he was very romantic.
Oh, and your home must look like a florist shop with
It did. It did. Yeah, they were always being replaced. Yeah.
So he was romantic and sweet, and he was drunk in love with you for 2 years, stoned in love, and you you were hearing these "I love yous" and you loved it, but also you kind of mentioned it was like a lot to take in.
It was, Laura. It was a lot to take in because my barrier was that I didn't really believe it. So that was a barrier, even though I wanted to believe it, but there was kind of this underlying doubt that, that it was my old malware, my old nervous system was like, well, I just, I need a sign. Oh, I need another sign. I need another sign, and then, so that sign might be, oh, I really love you. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. So that would go in, and then that would kind of evaporate, like an empty petrol tank. And then I'd kind of need another one. It was this, so for me, it was kind of this living in limbo in between, feeling that when I heard those words, then that went in and made me feel secure for a moment. But yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging.
Yeah, it sounds like it, but it's so relatable. I can really identify with that feeling like this. It's almost too good to be true.
Yeah, that was it, Laura.
You're craving the words.
Yeah.
It was so fleeting. Like you temporarily feel it and then feel it sounds like a little insecure again that it just wasn't true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. It was insecurity, and I know that, well, it was kind of how my nervous system was wired, I guess, from what I experienced as a young girl. And of course, in a relationship, in my understanding and experience, those things start playing out. Like for me, like getting in the way, and like you said, feeling insecure, and looking for that evidence on his paper. And I mean, that's not a bad thing because we are in a relationship, but to actually feel like, oh, I need it. I kind of need that, and can he give it to me, or can I give it to myself?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely going to ask you more about that a little bit later, but that's, I love that you've kind of planted
Laura,
a seed about, maybe
sorry, this connection.
asking him for something that maybe you could give to yourself. So I would love to hear more about that. Is there a moment from those early days, those courtship days, or just being stoned in love for 2 years days, it just makes you smile when you think about it?
Absolutely. Yeah, all the time. Even though there was that kind of thing, yes, all the time. He used to wear this beautiful red scarf. He had this beautiful red scarf. It was so funky, and jeans. And one day, it was my birthday, and I was working. I was a nurse. I was a nurse at the hospital, and he arrived at lunchtime, and he called me up. Well, he said, I'm coming up there. I don't know how, didn't have cell phones in those days. But anyway, I went up there, and he had a little baby collie. He'd bought me a little puppy, a baby collie for my birthday. It was so beautiful. Like, yeah, it was so cute. So, I mean, that was one of those times, and I just kind of every day really, it sort of felt like that, when you're newly in love, and every day felt uh, just so romantic. And I never ever thought that, in the early days, like no one can do anything wrong, Laura.
I
Like
can't.
there's no faults, there's nothing. It's all perfect.
It's all perfect. It's
It's all
really
perfect.
true.
It's all
It's
perfect. And, even if there's, well, for me, even with doubts swimming around and stuff like that, it's still all perfect, just feeling like on a high.
yeah. And so then you had a collie. That's a bold present for him to get you. But
It is.
he must have known you would have loved it.
Well, well, kind of, I guess, because I mean, I was brought up with my dad had about 60 dogs, and I wasn't really a doggy girl, but we didn't have inside pets. Dogs were outside pets, so that was new to me. So I needed to adjust to that. So that was but I mean, no, it was beautiful, and she became my running buddy really, because then I was into a lot of running then. So that was beautiful. We used to do lots of running, and I used to take her down to the river and wash her and then blow dry. Collies have got a lot of hair. You remember Lassie probably.
Yes, of course I do.
So,
Yes. Well, you
so,
were
so
running with Lassie.
yeah.
Oh,
So
well, so it sounds like everything was, I mean, it was absolutely perfect. And then you lived happily ever after. The end.
that's it. Yeah. Wow, that's right. And then we got married. He asked me to marry him, and uh, he we actually we kind of had quite a hippie wedding. We got married we were living in a farmhouse out in the country, and so we got married out there, and all the family came, but my husband, he spent, unbeknownst to me, he spent most of his time down the water tank trying to get the water going, because the water, I didn't even know. I didn't even really know, because when there's lots of people and you're eating and stuff like that. So that a lot of his time was spent trying to get the water on, because he wanted to provide, make sure everything was working. So yeah, then we got married, and my husband was deciding what to do with his life, because he was going to be an artist. He always wanted to be an artist. And anyway, this opportunity came up for him to work in the gas industry, and he hummed and hawed about it, and he decided to take it because, I guess he wanted to provide for us and buy a house. And so that was the start of his career of working away from home. And so his first a routine was to work away for a week. And we didn't have any children at that time. And so I was by myself, but I was kind of reasonably independent. I was working as a nurse and running with my lassie, and had my friends, and, I was pretty independent, which I loved, and I also loved when he came home. And then we had our first baby, and then we had our second and our third, and then he started working away more. He got work 2 weeks away, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And the 2 weeks off was amazing. But, the 2 weeks away, I was by myself.
Just
And
thinking.
once again, because I was quite independent, but, to receive, independence can get in the way sometimes, I found. But anyway, and then he got another job, and it was away 5 weeks.
Oh,
So that's kind of when, yeah, that was sort of,
weeks was already
even
rough.
though,
5 weeks is too long.
yeah, it was a long time, and 17,000 miles away. And however, there was this part of me that was quite strong and independent, so I could do it. And when he come home, then that would sort of interrupt my routine. I'd sort of develop this routine. And of course, that didn't land well on my husband, to feel like he was a stranger in his house. Like those kind of, my sort of prickly vibes, not all the time, but enough to to break down the intimacy
Mm.
over
Okay,
time.
so this makes sense. Like you had your routines. You had to because you were 5 weeks on your own.
Mm.
Then he would come home and like what's a scene from that time? Or is there anything that sticks out in your mind of like where he would try to do something, you think that's not the way I do it, or like how did that go?
Yeah. Well, it was like with the boys, like I had sort of a routine that they'd have a bath and they'd have dinner and then they'd go to bed. And so my husband was probably when he did it, he sort of didn't do it my way. It was he might say, "Oh, they can just have tea first, or then they can have a bath, or then they can read a book." And it's like I'm like, "Yes, but it's getting late. They shouldn't be. They need to be asleep by now. Like this." And so that created tension. That that created loss of intimacy, and also um, just the boys he wanted the boys to bike to school, as they got a little bit older. And I would go, "Oh no, like they might get run over, or they can't do that. That's too hard. They might get wet." Like, he was wanting to be a father, and I was saying, "No, let me be the mother. Let my way's the right way." And yeah, so that caused friction and loss of intimacy, because he was trying to teach them how to be young men, and then he used to bike to school. And I mean, I used to walk to school. I had quite a way to walk to school when we lived on the farm, but that was walking. It wasn't biking in the traffic. That
Yeah.
it was down at no exit road, so that was a bit different. But um,
Hmm.
so that created a lot of tension. Me um, intervening and not agreeing with it and disrespecting him and just not
Hmm.
understanding that's what a dad can bring is the structure and discipline,
Hmm. Well,
and
it sounds
yeah,
like you see it a little differently in hindsight, but I mean, I think some of the things you're saying, like, the boys would take their bath and then go to bed, right? It was like that sort of structure. It's getting late, right? My kids need to sleep. I mean,
yes.
that is part of being a mom, right? So why would it be, and you were the only person putting them to bed for 5 weeks at a time. And those routines are so valuable for kids and parents. So
Mm.
why would that be so? I mean, you're saying it hurt the intimacy, but in a way, weren't you right about that?
Well, he well, yeah, I thought I was at the time, Laura, like that my way works, and he wanted to, and his way was good too. But just at that time, I couldn't. I wanted to keep doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
and not, um, yeah, not let him be the dad and bring in his. He was the dad, like it was his home too.
Yeah, that's
But
true. I see
yeah,
what you're saying. That's a hard adjustment though, I think. I think for anybody, right, to go from raising your kids alone for 5 weeks at a time to making room for somebody to throw off the routine and throw off the culture of the home is, I think it'd be challenging for anybody. So,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah, and it sounds like, and then the bicycle thing, letting them cycle to school. Um, so did they ever end up riding their bikes to school, or did you?
No, not very much. I mean, because he tried to, and I kind of always intervened or intercepted, on like it's raining, or just, you know, pressured him to kind of, yeah, just do it my way. Because
Yeah,
then I'll feel better, I'll feel safer, and I'll feel, but so that's what happened, and that started um, breaking down the intimacy in my eyes. What I understand now.
what was the first moment that you remember where you thought, things have shifted? That we're not as close. It's not as intimate.
Laura, it was Well, it kind of was a gradual thing, but then I could turn to the place, where he fell in love with my best friend, and that was, that was kind of a build up of this probably over the years where he didn't feel um, appreciated or respected. So I guess that was kind of the crucial turning point because, well, really it was afterwards, because afterwards it was like, for me, it was like when he'd chosen to stay with me, I I couldn't believe that, that he had still chosen me. And I was, would get into net thinking about it, thinking about how come that happened, or why did that happen, and is he still thinking about her, getting on his paper. And so that was kind of the real, probably most painful part in a way.
Oh,
Even,
yeah.
even though it was a wake up call when he said, "Oh, I'm in love with her," and it's like, oh my goodness. But afterwards, when he chose with me, then that's really when the change needed to happen for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was like big bombshell right there, right? You were just at like, well, we didn't agree on bedtime routines or riding to school. And now suddenly he's in love with your friend.
Mm,
Uh, so, and so from the way you described that, it sounds like you were blindsided.
I was, Laura, because one day, well, I got this big bolt through me that he was in love with my best friend, and I went down there, and sure enough, he was. And it was, yeah, it was a real shock. Like it was a big shock. It was a big shock, and well, I guess it was a wake up call. When I
Well,
look back now,
yeah.
yeah,
Like a wake
was
up,
like,
like
yeah,
atom bomb or something.
yeah,
Like,
it was a wake up call. Yeah, it was a wake up call, and that, like I say, it was then he chose me, and I said to him, I still wanted to be married, and that was a moment when he felt loved and wanted, and probably because he didn't feel loved and wanted, because of how I wanted to do everything my way, and that would just create, all these little arguments that would just create so much tension and kill intimacy, and yeah.
oh, ouch. Oh my gosh. And so leading up to this, the day that you make this discovery, you're, were you thinking everything's pretty okay? Everything's pretty much fine.
It was. I mean, yes, it was, because even though um, there was this tension about, differences in parenting, and feeling like that, if he changed, everything would be perfect. If he could just see and uh, see it through my lens, then we would be fine. I remember thinking that. I mean, it's embarrassing to think that. I seriously thought that, Laura, that if he changed, everything would be perfect. And so, yes, I, got us along to marriage counselling, and I was just rubbing my hands thinking, I can't wait to get him there. And, and they will say, yes, he needs to change. and, and it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't like that at all. It was about, him having his say and me having my say, and mostly it was criticizing about what he was doing wrong that was hurting me, and him saying not much but similar things. And so we'd get out of those sessions and argue about, like, I'd say, oh, that really hurt me when you said that, and why did you say that? Like, because that's not true, and that's the, and get into an argument about that after the session. So it wasn't really like having skills to grow the intimacy again.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And so you were going to marriage counseling after he fell in love with your friend. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, and the marriage counselor said to me, she said to Dave, the marriage counselor said to Dave, why did you marry an emotionally unstable woman? And it was
Oh,
like, oh my goodness, like, wow, I felt so hurt. I mean, I knew I was sensitive but I would never think I was emotionally unstable, and he didn't think I was emotionally unstable, I don't think.
no,
But
no,
she said that, and I was like, that was like being blindsided actually,
absolutely.
because I
Absolutely.
was going along there thinking, yeah, they're going to tell him, they're going to tell him, they're going to just can't wait, they're going to tell him that, yeah, he needs to change, and so that was that was really devastating.
Yeah, it really is. And it makes me so mad at your marriage counselor. And I remember this from when you came on the podcast the first
Mm,
time years
mm.
ago. I remember how angry I was at your marriage counselor, and that's all coming back to me right now. Because in this situation, right, you've been blindsided once by him falling in love with your friend and finding out about that, sort of discovering that. And so you're like in probably the worst pain of your life.
Mm, mm.
Feeling confused, heartbroken, scared, angry, resentful, all the things. Yeah. So
All
you
of
were
things.
vulnerable at this time, and for somebody to say that, a professional to say that to you is just, oh, just wanna.
Oh my goodness, that was yeah, that was well. Obviously, I still remember it, but it's like it's not. It, it's just an incredible thing to say to someone when, especially when you're feeling vulnerable and you know your marriage is broken down and you want to save it and you want to feel like there's some hope and yeah.
And yeah, I mean, history has proved her wrong. We're gonna get to that part. It's like
It,
spoiler alert, but
yeah.
yeah. So all right. So you go to this marriage counselor, goes terribly. And I mean, how are things at home? How are things between you and Dave at this point?
Well, they are tense. I remember this moment. We took the boys to the doctor. They were just all getting a checkup, and I remember being in this room with him and just being so annoyed with him and resentful towards him. And I just remember, thinking that this man that I met, he was so assertive, he was so knowledgeable, he was so handsome, he was still handsome, but all of a sudden he was a know-all. He was knowledgeable, but all of a sudden he was a know-all and a control freak. Like, his assertiveness turned into control freak, and his knowledge turned into know-all. And I felt resentful towards him. I remember this, just hearing him talk to the doctor, thinking like he knew everything, and just how prickly I felt, and I was trying to hide it, to pretend that I was like, but really underneath I had this I did have this resentment towards him. So that was kind of a bit an undercurrent that would come up, at certain times. So it was it there was fun, but there was also, this road of releasing the resentment and getting back to creating intimacy. Mm.
Yeah. So it's okay. So, I mean, I could totally picture that. Like the thing that, because you mentioned it about what you were drawn to about him was that he was assertive. And here he is
Yeah.
being assertive in the doctor's office, and you're thinking he is an overbearing know it all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can fit him right now. And it makes total sense that the resentment was this kind of, um, yeah, there's overwhelming amount of resentment, I'm sure, from that,
Mm. It,
that you were feeling.
yeah. Yeah. The resentment, I didn't actually understand it then, but I know that that's how I felt. I felt this resentment, and it's quite hard to, well, I found it quite hard to, you know, let it go, like just release it. And, Dave would just say, just, lighten up. And it was hard to lighten up because there was that there was that sensitivity of feeling hurt, having been hurt, and I really did actually want to lighten up, Laura, but it was hard to do so. And of course, when there was that underlying resentment, if he would, crack a joke or something, I wouldn't laugh at it because I just felt annoyed with him, and so there was that kind of vibe. But like I say, not all the time, but it wasn't easy and light and laughter. That, because there was kids and there was parenting and just little arguments could just spark up out of nothing that didn't need to be there. That those arguments didn't need to be there. But as you know, Nora, being the queen of self-care, I mean, if there's not self-care, then I know for me there's, it's easy to get resentful and tired and feeling like I'm carrying it all or doing it all, and I wasn't, because my husband actually did do a lot. He did do a lot. I mean, my friends would say, "Oh my goodness, he's cleaned the stove, he's cleaned the fridge, he's cleaned the car, he's mowed the lawns." It's like, and I'm like, yeah, but where's the romance? But
I know.
Yeah,
when someone says lighten up when you're feeling so hurt and resentful, it almost just makes it worse, right? Like it's like feeling dismissed.
It does, yeah. It does. And also, having these old, kind of being judged and criticized in my family. So if Dave said something that was helpful, and he was always wanting to be helpful, it landed on me as criticism. So, that sensitivity would catch that as criticism rather than help. And I didn't know. I still didn't know that. I wasn't born with these skills, Laura, so I still didn't know that. I was still stumbling and fumbling along, making things, worse instead of better. So, yeah.
Well, it's a pretty heartbreaking situation to be in with 3 boys. And, knowing that your husband's fallen in love with someone else. Now, when does that end? When is the last day of that? And you go, "Oh, now it's over," right? That's pretty tough. Was there a moment that you thought, "Okay, we can't go on like this"?
There was actually, and Laura, it was. I think I probably had my crowbar out, and I was asking. I thought, because I'd heard that, hey, just find out everything that he did and when he did it and how he did it, and that is really cathartic. That's a really good thing, So I sort of got my crowbar out and started doing a bit of that, and he said, "Tess, you're digging yourself a big hole here," and that was like evidence to me, like, oh, I need to dig deeper. But he said, I can't do this anymore, Tess. And that was afterwards. And that was when I thought, oh my God, I have to do something. I have to change something. It's too intense. I can't live like this. I can't, I need to, I really felt desperate to find something, Laura.
It sounds awful because you're looking for catharsis. You're looking for some kind of some way to close that chapter, or maybe some way to fix it, some insight or learning, even something. And
Yeah.
for him to say, like, basically, stop it. Like, you're just digging your hole deeper. Yeah, I can see how it feel really bad.
And that felt unfair too when he said you're digging.
So unfair.
That felt so unfair. It's like,
you're the one that
you started it.
You started it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It was like, oh no, yeah. So there was that going on too.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that conversation being very painful. And what was the atmosphere like in your house? Like, is there are there moments that you remember from that time when you just like, how was the interacting, or what was it like for your kids? Or
it would have been, tense for them, because especially at dinner time, because my husband, he was brought up with silver service, and he kind of had this impression that I didn't like manners, and I love manners. I really love manners. And so the dinner time was just horrendous. It was, well, horrendous. It was tense because he'd say, "Hold your fork like that," and I'd go, like the look. And so there would be that, and that was probably the most intense tension around meal times, and and him me feeling like he was thinking that I didn't like manners, and that really really irritated me. That really annoyed me because I do like manners, but it was just this. It was his constant every night, that he would give these big lectures, and it was just I felt like screaming, and yeah, and just differences of him wanting to be a dad, and saying hurry up and get your wet weather gear, or that stern. And I remember once we went out to the beach and the boys were in their middle years, and he got them into surfing, which was amazing, and bodyboarding. And we went out there and the waves were huge. They were huge. And he said, get out there, get out there and get surfing, like, you can do it. And I think the three of them went out there, and our young son came in, and our other two were out there. And I was just thinking, I was so annoyed with him. I was fuming, like, how could he put them in danger? Anyway, both our sons that were out there, luckily that day there was not that he would put them in danger. Do you know what I mean? Knowingly, like, so, but that day, luckily there was the surfing competition, and they had lifeguards out there, and both our sons used their bodyboards and swam down to the little boat, the rescue boat, and they got brought in. So, they learnt something, but just, my irritation and at him for doing that. So, that kind of that there was, yeah, I wasn't trusting him. Wasn't trusting him.
Well, no, but you were right. Right? You were right. The waves it was a little too much for your boys.
Yeah.
But
he said, they'll be all right.
They'll be all right.
They'll be all right. But it's like this mother's intuition, it's like, it's like, you should have listened to me. No, so I didn't say that in so many words, but I said it in my vibration. I was kind of fuming, like I knew. And anyway, they were okay, Laura, but it was just it was that kind of a dance, really, about if he said to do it this way, then I was kind of like, that's not the right way. So the boys would have felt a lot of tension. I mean, obviously they didn't come up and go, hey, you guys are like making us tense, but I'm sure, they felt a lot of tension.
You felt it there.
For sure, even though I thought they didn't, magically. I mean, where was that magical thinking coming from?
Well,
that we could hide it, like.
Of course. You try, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
And were there just flat out, arguments going on too, fights happening with
yes, there were lots. It was very easy to have an argument about something small, like, oh, the bath's too deep, or they need to get out of the bath now, or just, or why didn't you tell me that? That just little, or don't buy that at the supermarket. They don't eat that, or, oh, why did you cook that much? Like, it's like arguments just about everyday things. Yeah.
Well,
so it was.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. Yeah, every day. And this is even when the boys were little, it sounds like. So, and then like, so how did things, I mean, so he find out this huge news. I kind of want to go back to that. Because and then especially with the marriage counseling going so badly, it almost sounds unrecoverable. Like, were there times when you were thinking, we can't make it through this?
yeah, I just thought that the tension and the arguments that I didn't know how to stop them. I didn't know whether they would stop. I didn't know whether I could, um, you know, trust him again. Yeah, I didn't know, and I just didn't. Yeah, and I used to throw the divorce word. I'd go, oh, just let's get divorced. Just let's get divorced. I would just throw that around so um, easily. Not all the time, but when I did, it was to hurt and to just that was going to be the solution, I think. But no one filed for divorce, and it didn't happen. But that's the kind of tension that it felt like. Oh, this is just useless. It's not going to, it's not going to end. Mm,
Yeah, gosh. So, so there was, and how many years would you say that went on?
um, probably, gosh, it probably went on for about maybe 6 years, I think, Laura. Yeah. Mm. On and off kind of thing. It's sort of, yeah.
And of course, you have your children, and you want to stay together for that. I'm guessing, right? That's a big source of
Yeah.
relief. Um, and then, and then when you were saying, "Let's just get divorced," and I just love your accountability. You're like, it was intent to hurt. That was part of why you're saying it. But I imagine also a way to like to have him wake up, to have him like be to behave differently, like to respond to you differently. I mean, maybe I'm thinking of myself when I say that. When I, but
No, prove that you love me. That's right, Laura. It's true. No, you're right onto it. Yeah, prove that you love me, and let's just see if I can get a nice reaction. Maybe, that he actually didn't really want to divorce me, actually. So, but I still there still was this friction and this tension, and that was hard to live with. It was hard because it was how do we? I just want to feel that peace and harmony again. Mm, mm.
yeah, and 6 years is a long time to be in resentment jail or just scared jail, right? Scared of what's going to
Absolutely.
happen.
Yeah, it was true. It was, it felt like a long time. It felt like a long time. And it was very wearing, very wearing. It was very mm, sapping of my energy.
Very
It,
exhausting.
it was hard to be light. It was hard to be light and fun. And that's what was needed in our relationship, but it was the exact opposite of what was happening because
Well, go ahead.
I didn't know how to stop the arguments.
And did you feel like if you were light and fun, like somehow you would lose something? Like maybe your would you lose some power in your relationship by being light and fun?
Um, I thought I'd lose some power if I was vulnerable rather than light and fun. I think, like if I was vulnerable and said how I felt, that I felt unsure or you know, um, even just tired or scared or or yeah, I think it was more that really. It was more that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah,
Mm.
very scary to be vulnerable when yeah, you're told everything you thought was true is kind of not true anymore. So, yeah,
E-
it's
e-
interesting though.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Laura. Yeah.
Well, I'm just noticing that I my recollection from the last time you were on the podcast is that this part of your story was such a big headline. It was like a major
Mm.
headline of your story that your husband was in love with your friend. And
Mm,
I am fascinated by how I know we're going to hear more of the story today, right? We're going to hear like what's happened in those last 5 or 6 years since you were a guest on the
mm.
podcast before. But I'm fascinated, like the story has gotten kind of bigger and that little dot seems to have gotten smaller in your story somehow.
It
I don't know.
has, though, yeah. It is like compost now. It's hard to kind of recollect those thoughts, when there's just been so much new growth. Like I'm not watering the weeds anymore. I'm watering the seeds. So it's like it's different. Yeah, it's yeah. It it is compost for sure. It's like, wow, what just happened back there? you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You speak of it almost like if someone said, yeah, well, I broke my arm at summer camp. I mean, not that you're taking it lightly, but it's just something that happened. Like it just doesn't sound like it defines your life or controls your mood or anything like that anymore from the way you talk about it now.
No, well, my husband apologized for ruining our friendship, with my friend because she was my best friend. So he apologized. He's apologized quite a lot, and she's passed away now. And we made up with her. We made up with her. So that's probably why it's sounding like this. That yeah. So it's. Mm, I mean, gosh, obviously when it happens, it's terror. It's don't feel safe. Like, am I going to lose my husband? Am I going to? Yeah, but now it certainly it's a long time ago, but it's certainly not a nice place to be in. Not a nice place
No,
to be in, Laura.
not a nice place to be in at all.
Mm.
And I just appreciate you. It's very vulnerable of you to share about it and to let me ask these prying questions, these probing questions, where
You're
I'm kind of
welcome.
present on the pain point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Very
my pleasure.
courageous.
Yeah.
So okay, you mentioned it was like 6 years of this kind of a tense home. What happened then?
Well, I was after my husband fell in love with my best friend, and then there was this journey back to how do I stop all this arguing and stuff like that, and so I was I was incredibly I was incredibly desperate to actually change how I felt because I couldn't. That's the only way that I could see myself getting out of this was that something had to change inside of me. I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to feel light. I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to feel secure and safe in my marriage, no matter what. And I didn't want to get divorced, and my husband didn't either. I mean, he didn't particularly throw it around either. I think once he might have said he was leaving, but he went out in the car and came back. So, I mean, it was, but I really, really wanted to change something inside of me, and so I went looking online, and I found you, Laura. That's when I found the intimacy. That it was the intimacy that I wanted, and I just loved that word and the way that you talked about it. And I got your book and read it, and just then went straight on to coach training because you know, I mean, I just loved everything that the tools, the skills, the so practical, and just something to change something inside of me that I could change something without trying to drag my husband along to things that he came along to, but he just was he wanted the change too, but it was because it was so wanting to blame him, or as the marriage counselling worked out, it was kind of pretty much just focusing on the problem. So when I came across your work, it was something that I could do for me, that I could shift something inside of me, which I really felt desperate to do.
Wow, I love that. I mean, what was the first glimmer of hope that you had that maybe something could change?
Well, the first glimmer of hope was when so when I came across your website and I saw that there was coach training, and like I said, I had that appointment with Kathy and then realized, oh no, I can't do this because we've just spent all this money on curtains, and when Kathy invited me to vulnerability and say, I hear it's really hard to express your desire, and I said yes, 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 and left that call. I mean, I just loved that day. That was a defining moment for me, and got off that call and just couldn't stop hearing Kathy's words. And I thought, I want to be brave. That's that brave part of me. I want to be brave. I really want to express this desire to my husband. And he was away overseas, and I did. I said, I'd love to do this training. I think it would be amazing and to be a relationship coach. And he said, yes, do it. So that was incredible. That What was your question, Laura?
Oh, this is great. No, that was a great answer. I mean, so you were afraid he was going to say no, it sounds like.
I was so, you see, I started thinking that telling myself that it wouldn't happen, right? So I just was blocking myself, and Kathy inspired me to be brave, be courageous. She didn't say that in so many words. She just said, I hear you're afraid to express your desire. That's all she said. And it was true. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to do it. And I did, and here I am. Um, you know, here I am. Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, here you are. And yeah, you're an incredible relationship coach. You're well-loved, popular
Yeah,
relationship coach now, but it sounds like it almost didn't happen because it was vulnerable. You had to be brave
I had to be
to
brave, Laura, and thank you. I mean, I just love, this is, I think this was the missing piece too, was, as you say, in your work, to, you know, what lights me up? Like what can I, what am I not doing that I really want to be doing that's going to bring out the best version of me, where I'm, being creative, learning, stretching, growing, and bring that into my marriage, bring that into my life, and this was the missing link.
coaching was so you're saying that becoming a relationship coach contributed to your marriage being more intimate because it it's a way for you to be creative and purposeful and engaged in all the things that you just mentioned. So kind of
Mm.
not in obvious ways, it sounds like.
What's that, Laura? Not in what?
It wasn't in the obvious ways. You would think, oh, well, she became a relationship coach and it helped her relationship, her helped her marriage. But really, I think you're saying it's a little bit of a twist on that because it was having your own purpose and something you were excited about doing, something you're
Mm.
passionate about. That's what you're saying. Do I have that
That,
right?
yeah, that's exactly right, Laura. Yeah, having a purpose and having a passion, and that was really important for me. And so this, and also like learning the skills, like learning how to stop the arguments, learning how to be grateful, learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to receive, learning how to do self-care, and also being amongst a community, where there's so much support and love, and so I was on fire. I was I was so happy, I was so, yeah, just so fulfilled. Well, scared and excited at the same time, right? Which is kind of part of my personality, brave and scared, and but I love it. Yeah, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Yes, I do. I do. And so, so that that's when, and also, as you said, doing double duty because I was working, I was changing things inside of me that changed my marriage. However, there was a point after I finished my relationship coach training, and I found myself wondering, how am I doing? Like, has my husband noticed any difference? Has, looking to his page for validation and stuff like that. And it was kind of always on the tip of my tongue to say, do you think I've changed? Like, do you think like, like, but I didn't because it was, it felt like it took the magic away from it because it was actually, well, how do I feel? Do I feel like I'm, changing something inside of me that feels where I can show up differently and feel really amazing about that, feeling like I am the woman I am and becoming like your wife mirror that you talk about, Laura. I really love that wife mirror because if I'm standing in front of my husband and he's doing a big sigh, like, now in the past for the skills, I would think, oh my God, what's the matter? Like, what's wrong? And then I'd start asking those leading questions. What's wrong? Is something, are you okay? Now it's like the way that I like to use the wife mirror is I can hear that big sigh and now I can take a breath in and reflect back this love to him, like, you've got this. Like you've got this, like, not take on that stress and think, oh my God, I've got to do something about this. And that, in the old days, that could have ended up being an argument. Are you okay? Is it something about me? This underlying insecurity that, that,
You
that,
don't
that
have
wants
that
to,
anymore?
well, I do, but I don't, it's like I still do. I'm not perfect, Laura, but it just wants to come up and, kind of take over. But now I can come back to what do I want to reflect back? I want to be that lighthouse, that you talk about, because when I reflect back my confidence in him, and I also deepen that confidence in myself, and it's such an amazing feeling that I've never ever got from anywhere else. It's amazing. It's amazing.
This is your superpower.
This is my superpower yeah. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice, like I practice it every day, Laura, and sometimes it doesn't come immediately, but I know it's there. It's like, it's like going for a run. It's like, well, I've done that like for a year. I can still do that. And so it just keeps building that muscle, it's amazing. It doesn't mean I don't have those fears or those feelings. It's just that I know that I can access that. Mm.
Like an enormous source of confidence that
It
you have
is.
the option, to respond to him the way you want to respond.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And I've never really had that before. I've never had that before. And I love having it. It's such a nice feeling, when it happens. It's such a beautiful feeling. It's like, oh, this must be what it feels like, that when then people just grow up confident and feel happy in their own skin. This is what it must feel like. It's such a lovely feeling. It's not a better than, it's not a lesser than. It's just like I am, this is nice to show up for me, feeling like, oh, he's just having a sigh and I'm here loving him anyway, or he'll get through it, or he might tell me, or I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's okay. you know?
Yeah. How does he respond? How does he respond to you when you use your superpower when he's having a sigh?
Wow. He just might say something like, oh God, I feel really tired. And I've been thinking that he's thinking something else. So generally he responds by saying what's going on for him, because I'm not, I'm not trying to change his mood or fix him or tell him to be different, So to me, he visibly seems relaxed to be himself.
And that he is himself, and that sounds like that sounds pretty intimate, actually.
It is intimate, Laura. It is. It's lovely. That's true. You hit the nail on the head. It's nice to feel that connection, and it's a soft connection, and it's so worth being able to experience that at this time in our relationship, and our kind of golden years together. It's like sort of just standing outside and looking at the blue sky together. It's peaceful. It's very peaceful. It's beautiful.
I love this. And you're kind of bucking the odds, because there's more talk of gray divorce than ever before. I think that there's a kind of a trend towards, oh, well, our kids are grown now. It's just you and me, and I want out of here. Right? And
You and me in the rowan tree, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. Who are they going to talk to about the couple that they knew when they were in their 30s together, or their grandchildren, or their cousins, or remember we used to live in that house, and oh gosh, when we went to that town 30 years ago, look how it's changed. I mean, who are they going to have that conversation with? It's, I just feel so lucky to be at this point where all the history, all 10 grandchildren together, and to be able to, share that in a new way, in a light, loving way that's, that where we can enjoy just the small things that feel so big. Because, Laura, it's interesting, to enjoy the small things, just like you said, that intimate moment where he can sigh and I can breathe in and know it's not mine. And, whereas in the past, that small thing, like I said, could have caused an argument. And now it causes more connection. It creates more connection. Having the skills, like knowing how to do that. It's truly empowering. You're a genius, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. So did it feel vulnerable to do that? To not say, what's the matter? Or why are you sighing? Or
Yes, it did feel vulnerable. Thank you for asking that, Laura. It did feel vulnerable, and because my old wiring is to fix. So a sigh is to be fixed, isn't it?
absolutely.
Like if your husband's sighing, there's something wrong. You got to see what it is. And so it is vulnerable and with practice, it's become easier, because my husband doesn't want me to fix him, and so I can just stand there, and it's like standing there naked. It is a little bit like standing there naked, without, doing something. Just being vulnerable, just receiving, just being open, being receptive. That's what I think it is, just being open, being receptive. I don't know what's going to come out after that sigh, but if I give him an opportunity to just let him be him and not rush in there with anything, then he might say, I've been thinking about going on holiday around New Zealand. He could say anything. It's like he just said, I think we'll build a second bathroom, after saying we can't afford it. And I have worked with you about this vision of, this light, airy place. So it could come in a different way, Laura. It could come in a different way.
Well, tell me about that. So I have heard you share about, there's a you're in a time of downsizing, right? That this is
Mm,
the
mm,
family house is the boys are grown. And yeah, I have heard you share about wanting this light and airy place, and I've heard a little bit about you and Dave shopping for this place. Like tell us about that. Like, how does that go? This is definitely a part of this second chapter you're in.
mm. Well, it sort of goes in cycles. Sometimes he'll get all the real estate and he'll look through them, and I'm quite surprised because the last cycle that kind of ended, he said, "Oh no, we're just going to stay here. We're not going to move anywhere, right?" And so I go, "Okay," and then he said, "I think we'll do a second bathroom here." So he's been doing these plans, and he bought a program, and that like really surprised me. And I thought, and then he said, all we need to do is just downsize our stuff here, which, makes sense. That could be doable. And then there could be another cycle coming up. He might say, I just saw a house the other day, let's go and have a look at it. Or if we go for a drive, and he'll take me somewhere and say, I saw this house. So it's it's a bit fluid at the moment, Laura. There's nothing definite. And I like being in my feminine energy of going with the flow, even though you know I've expressed those desires, and he's pretty much got the same, really. So yeah, it's a mystery to unfold.
It kind of sounds like you're just enjoying it. You're not. I mean, I don't. We'd all like to know where the river that you're riding is going to end up, right? Like, what you want to. We all want to see the
Yeah.
future space behind the veil. And I kind of hear you saying, I'm just enjoying this ride, this adventure. It's got some twists and turns. First, we think we're moving, and then we're not moving, and then we're adding a second bathroom, and we're just downsizing our stuff. And
It's not. And
that could
of
be
course,
that could be a
sorry.
source of contention.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm a skilled woman, it's a source of fun. Because we are getting married again because my husband asked me to marry him again. And the other day he was over helping the elderly neighbour with her garden, and he said, "Oh, those daisies were around when we got married 45 years ago." He said, "We'll use those when we get married again." Well, I've completely relinquished control of that. I don't know when it's going to be or how it's going to happen. So, it's nice to just be able to relinquish control, even though that doesn't mean that uh, I haven't really expressed any desires about it, because I'm just actually enjoying whatever he comes up with. Just like Kathy let her husband buy a house without seeing it. So it's like I'm really enjoying that.
I mean, I love this. So romantic. Like, you're just waiting to show up at this ceremony to marry your husband again. So tell me about how did this come about? Why did he ask you to marry him again? Or where were
Ah,
you? How did this happen?
yeah, Laura, I know. This was actually out of the blue. We were living in Australia and living in an apartment, and he said to me just out of the blue, it was just before he went to work, and he said, "Oh, will you marry me again?" Just like that. And it was like, wow. I mean, I I just said yes, of course. And that was probably about maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So who knows when it's going to happen? It actually blew me away. I was quite amazed. I
It
was,
sounds
yeah, I mean, I didn't think he believed in it, and I didn't particularly, you know, ask for it. We used to hear that people were renewing their vows and stuff like that, but it's never something that I thought that I would want to do, or he would want to do. But and sometimes when I'm trying on my clothes, just for a bit of fun, if he's outside digging a hole and I'm trying on my clothes and go out there and say, "Oh, what do you think of this? I think this would be nice to get married in." He'll go, "I don't know, Tess, I'm digging a hole." I go, okay.
He says, I don't know. I'm digging a hole.
I'm digging a hole, yeah, because he was digging a hole in the garden, yeah. So, it's just fun being able to, I do go into my wardrobe and try on my clothes periodically just to give them some love and see how they're all fitting. And, oh, yeah, that goes with that and this goes with that. Love it.
So fun.
Mm,
So you're
yeah.
just very playful and light, but he's thinking about the flowers that are going to be at this ceremony. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a real thing, it sounds like.
Yeah, I really love this. I just love this feeling of safety that it's a real thing. I haven't even thought any more about it. But I'll tell you something that happened the other day, Laura, was I woke up, we were lying in bed, and I said to my husband, and it was such a visceral feeling. I said to him, I just feel so safe with you around. I just love it. I love having you here. I love waking up with you. I love having coffee in bed together. It's just, I just, my nervous system feels relaxed because when I used to spend a lot of time alone, empty nester, and I'd hear a noise in the night and I'd think, oh, what's that? Just on edge. And now it really occurred to me to stay. I haven't felt like that. I don't know if you have that, but sometimes you just get a feeling like, oh, I haven't felt like that for a long time. And it was such a beautiful feeling. And I just love having a husband. I love having a husband. And, that's what I said to him because I feel so safe.
Wow. I do relate to that. And it does I feel safe too. So it's a
Mm,
wonderful thing to notice.
mm,
You to take it for granted that you feel safe. But I love that you could compare it to how you felt, yeah, alone and hearing noise. And you choose this. You prefer this. You prefer having a husband.
that's right, Laura. And, it's lovely to have that gratitude because I didn't realize what gratitude was. I mean, I thought I did, but I didn't actually. And I remember a long time ago when I'd done this training. It was an expensive training and it was like doing body work, and I'd come back and I'd been away myself for it was about 8 weeks. It was a long time. And I came home and my husband had set up this huge marquee out on the lawn. I don't know if I told you the story. And I came in the house and I looked outside and I don't know why, I was disappointed. Don't ask me why, Laura, but there was something that I couldn't take it in. It was, it kind of blew me away in a good way, but also in a way that I couldn't take it in. And I think like I was exhausted and tired, and I didn't understand at that time that, I don't know about you, but, if I'm flat and I've got no energy, it's hard to go, oh, wow, like there's just nothing there to do it. And I didn't mean to be like that. It was just that I didn't understand that I need to have my tank has to have something in it to be able to give something back out. And I can I just can only imagine how that landed on my husband. Not that I meant it to land like that.
So,
So
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Laura.
Well, so so he obviously went to a lot of trouble and wanted to welcome you back in a big way from your 8
Yep.
weeks trip. But is it your job, your responsibility when you're tired to kind of put on a show that you're so happy when you when you have nothing to give at that time?
Yeah. Well, I just kind of want to sort of say, yeah, I don't ever really want to put on anything because I've done that. I know how to do that, and I'd rather be authentic and vulnerable. And there wasn't any expectations, but it was just, yeah, I didn't know how to I didn't know how to be vulnerable and say, oh my gosh, this is just amazing. And I just feel like my tank is empty, and if I seem ungrateful, it's only because I'm just exhausted, and this is just incredible, but I can't, you know.
Can't do
And
any
it's what,
cartwheels right now.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't do any cartwheels or pirouettes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, does that answer your question, Laura?
It does completely. Thank you so much for that clarity. So there's what I hear is that honoring yourself and where you are and what's authentic is the priority. And um, you wanted to be able to acknowledge that you were receiving this marquee, this huge marquee on the front lawn, but also
Yeah.
to be true to Tess.
Mm, mm. That's true, Laura. And I just love the skill of vulnerability, being able to say, um, what's going on inside of me, and not pretending, actually being authentic.
Yeah, yeah. So you're and you point to how you do know how to put on a show, like you know how to put on pirouettes. You have nothing left to do pirouettes, but you do it anyway. And
Yeah.
this is not that. This is not acting as though you're excited and grateful when you can't muster it. But so
Mm.
how did he respond? How did he respond when you were not very demonstratively delighted?
Well, it was a bit of a blur, really. It was a bit of a blur, but I think he could see the disappointment in my face, and that disappointment just a combination of all those things that I just talked about, and not being able to express it, I suppose. So I can't remember there being any sort of conversation about it, but I'm just getting on his paper and imagining it, that he would have, like, look what I've done. This is what you mean to me. You mean the world to me. Welcome home. I loved having you home. I missed you.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I hear you saying, gosh, it would have been great if you'd had the energy to receive that that day. And
Yeah.
you can see it now that you're rested, that's what it
Yeah.
meant. So it wasn't entirely lost, but the moment, yeah, it wasn't the perfect moment that he dreamed it would be. It sounds like,
Yeah.
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 What was the hardest thing for you to do differently at first when you were training to be a coach and really becoming an expert at the intimacy skills?
Um, well, I have to say, Laura, probably the first place was in the car to say, no, don't park there. Park over here. There's a park over here. It's raining. There's a park over here. I mean, just even saying it to you, it just sounds uh, just so bossy and controlling, I guess. And so that was the hardest thing. And it was kind of sitting there in that silence and feeling like there was nothing to say. That was really hard. And I'd sometimes sit there and think, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say that's interesting? Oh my God, let's go. It was like that. It was unbelievable. It was kind of like going on a first date or something and not even knowing my husband. And because, normally it would be, oh, look, there's a car in front of you, or don't look out the driver's window, and so whenever we got there, and so with the new me, the old me catching up with the new me, so just using duct tape and letting him drive and saying to him, when we got there, good driving, driver. And that was different. That was a different experience, but that was one of the hardest things,
Hmm.
as
I
little as
love
as little as it sounds.
Yeah, well, it's not that little that I'm still not the best passenger. So after 5 years practicing skills, so I totally get it. So, and I love this little thing, a good driving driver. Was that something you developed? Was that something you always said? Or is that like after you got the skills, you started?
No, it wasn't actually. It was something that I learned. It was something that I learned from uh, my husband's sister's partner, a guy. He said that to Dave when they came and stayed here, and Dave drove us around, and he said that, and I thought, oh my God, that sounds so good. That's like gratitude, Laura's gratitude. It sounds so good, and so I said it all the time. I just copied it off him because I loved it. It made sense, and it was just such a neat thing to, well, also be grateful because he did drive me there. This is this thing I love about your skills, Laura, like gratitude. Well, he did drive me there, so why wouldn't I say thank you? If I was on a bus, I would say thank you, driver. Well, that's what I say, or if I got driven by an Uber or a taxi, thank you. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't I thank my husband? Because it felt kind of like it felt kind of sort of vulnerable or silly to say because isn't it obvious? But so that really stood out to me, and it really helped me develop that saying. And when someone thanks me for driving them somewhere, it actually feels really nice, and yet it just seems such an ordinary thing to say, or that it doesn't even need saying. But this is what I love about the skills, being able to open up that whole new world of creating intimacy through just something so practical and so simple and so beautiful to be thanked. Thank you, good driving, driver.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Have there been moments when you like knew the skills, but you slipped up or maybe yeah, like where you're like, oh, that
Yeah.
didn't go the way I wanted to there. Do you have any
Yeah.
stories about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me think of a story, Laura. Oh, especially on the phone, like when our adult sons ring up and they're talking to me and they're on speaker and my husband's over there and he's saying he comes into the conversation. And so in the bad old days, I used to be going, like that, like they're talking to me, and oh my goodness. And so, yeah, that I started changing that. And sometimes I change that by just walking out of the room to another room. And then I thought, oh, that's kind of rude. And then I'd stay in the room and then I started saying, hang on, your dad wants to say something and let them talk. Let them talk, because he wanted to say something because he was contributing to the conversation, even though they'd rung me up. So where I slipped up was that same old thing, like it just kind of, yeah. Or it could be the supermarket. The supermarket that's I don't know why. It's like the car. He'll go to buy something and I'll go, oh,
Yeah.
just I just you know, I still do that, Nora. I just have to walk. I really I really want to walk away and have a little sulk almost. Like just it's I don't know why, but and then I think, okay, just can you just stand here, Tess? Just stand here and stand beside him and just receive what he's buying. Like relinquish control. But those feelings come up, Laura, and they're really challenging. And don't ask me why. But the supermarket, the wilted cabbage or the something, I don't know, just like, oh, we don't need that. There's only two of us, or and so yeah, that's still a good place to work the skills and practice the skills.
I'm taking notes right now. Like I can
Uh,
identify with it too.
yeah.
So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I've got them there. I've got them there, and but sometimes it's just hard to. Well, it just feels hard to reach for them in that moment, especially
yeah,
with that. Ah,
that's what I
yeah,
meant. I
you kind
feel
of.
like same thing. I do the same thing that you do at the grocery store
Oh,
too. Oh, or actually, it's even worse. He'll go to the store and come back. And I'll be like, "Oh, you bought this kind. You went to something that I asked for." But anyway,
yeah,
so I'm like, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, you've got a point there." That's why
I
we
know.
stick together, right? That's why we hang out together to remind each other
Ah,
how we want
it's
to show up.
That's right, Laura. That's right. He'll go to the supermarket and buy just for a loaf of bread and come back with 3 bags, and I'll go like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm, anyway,
So you mentioned that your husband apologized to you in
mm,
a big way, right? For this big breakdown.
he
What
did.
How did that happen? Like, what brought that on? Tell me the story.
Um, well, he apologized quite a bit for that, and so I think when um, sometimes her name would come up in conversation, and we would laugh. Uh, um, I don't know how it came up. It would just be quite random. Actually, it wasn't a premeditated conversation. And then he'd just say, "I'm really, really sorry for." Or her name would come up, and we'd laugh about something, and then I'd go, "Oh gosh, I really miss that about her." And and nearly feel like I was going to start crying, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm just so sorry. I just screwed that up. I screwed that right up. I just screwed that right up." Yeah. So
He's very accountable.
yeah.
How did that land for you when he would apologize?
Well, sometimes I felt like saying, "Yeah, you did,"
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I just felt like saying, "Yes, you did," and I might have said that a few times because he has apologized quite a bit, and then I'd go, just, well, thank you, just say thank you, because well, it's in the past now. So thank you for acknowledging that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just something that happened, isn't it? something, something that didn't just happen, but it happened. It happened, and we got through it.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever feel that resentment come back?
About that,
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say no. Not really, Laura. Not
Really, it really is over.
I really feel like it is. Yeah, it's. I can kind of laugh about it and feel sort of almost uh, affectionate about it, because it. Yeah, I don't know. Does that sound too something?
No.
Yeah, it's just because it just feels so old now, and and it probably happened, because um there was lightness and laughter, in their relationship, and I was on busy doing all the things, and they were laughing and carrying on, and and it yeah,
So I hear you saying, I think I hear you saying I contributed to it.
I feel like I did.
You
Yeah,
do.
I do. I feel like I did, because well, I think, as you talk about, Laura, if I'm happy and pleasable and receptive, then that's pretty magnetic. It's pretty magnetic. And so, but if I'm prickly, resentful, and not pleasable, well, that's that's repelling. So, and I think if because my best friend, she spent a lot of time here, and I can understand that it would be easy to feel, it's like a holiday romance. Oh, that looks like more fun over there, and so then that dynamic of me, um, feeling more distance. So then I'm going to be more prickly, and then the intimacy falls apart more. So then there's that kind of that cycle. So
Yeah. It's extraordinary, right? To take any accountability for your husband falling in love with your best friend is extraordinary. You agree? I mean, that's not how I usually hear about
No,
it.
I know. Oh my goodness. I think I'm too soft. I think, well, yeah, I mean, you are right, Laura. And I find it hard to be, um, I, I've, I do, I think I find it easier to be like, yeah, I did play a part in that because if I didn't play a part in it, then I don't, then, because then I could change it by doing the skills because then I changed how I was showing up.
Yeah.
But, I could say, well, he should be a good man and not do that and not, come to me and say, hey, I'm feeling, come to me and say, I'm feeling attracted to my friend. Isn't that what you're meant to do? You read the books and your husband's meant to come and say, oh, I'm feeling attracted or, I feel, or I'm feeling like, that I'd like to fix our relationship or, uh, if it's 50-50, then if he would come to me and say, Tess, I'm just feeling really upset about things or, whatever and I feel like I'm feeling attracted to so and I don't want to be because you're my wife, but I'm finding it hard to, yeah, I mean,
He didn't say that to you though.
no, he didn't. No.
No. No. And it's true. That books make it seem like that's how it should go. And then you could have fixed it, before it went too far.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry now? Or do you ever worry now that he'll fall in love with someone else?
I used to. Yeah, I used to because that sort of played into part of my insecurity. And but a lot of that, with the work of the skills, the consistent work of the skills of like relinquishing control, and um, that's kind of it's really it's more of a whisper than a shout. I'm not saying it's not. It's not humming in the background, but it can come up. Okay, it's not like that under feeling of doubt or insecurity, but it can come up, but it's only a whisper, and
Yeah.
and then it doesn't last for long. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't there because it's part of that part of me that old malware that can kind of come up for a visit.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you said in the beginning, where he'd say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And it would be fleeting. Like yeah, like, is that a continuum, you think, from the part of you that had a hard time, um, I don't know, sort of capturing that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, Laura. Yeah, it is. That's a good way of putting it. It's a continuum. Yeah, it's on the same road. Yeah, it's like it might fork out like in different ways. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got it. You've nailed it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was with you right from the beginning. And I think it's so common. Like I identify with it too. So
oh,
common.
Laura, that's amazing. I can't imagine you identifying it with it, but I love that you can because it's like it, I find it painful. I found it really painful
Oh yeah.
to
Oh,
have
yeah.
that. Are you talking about the insecurity, like the
Yeah. Like, well, just feeling like he loves me. Like, how could he love me? Or like, yeah, kind of
yeah,
feeling cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Thank you,
And
Laura.
being
Makes
so
me feel
afraid.
good.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah. Feeling down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I wasn't lovable. That was
Mm.
my worst fear underneath.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that was mine too. I wasn't lovable. I wasn't lovable, and didn't know it in that many words. It kind of came out as insecurity.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and insecurity just played havoc with me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's and that's what I find the skills are about is developing this security. It's incredible. It's amazing, Laura, to develop this sense of security, and not saying that it's not that there's no insecurity, but that's the main character is security. And there's all these, there's these, there's still there, that insecurity, but the main character is feeling secure.
Yeah, the insecurity is only a whisper now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you're so secure, he can sigh without it causing how you having to ask, what was that? And, and what about now? Does he tell you he loves you now?
He does, yeah, he does. And he says, I'm the best thing that ever happened to him. I'm like, he said the other day, he said, you'll just never know. You will never ever know, Tess, how much you mean to me and how much you are like, well, his rock, I guess, he said. So, and then I said, oh, tell me more. He said, that's enough.
So
Tell me more.
playful. It's playful. That's so cute. So, and does
Yeah,
it feel like it? Do you feel like you can take it in?
I do, Laura. Yeah, I do. I feel like that it's not, I don't feel numb or frozen. It's that part of me, like that it's like I'm lovable. I am lovable, and being able to receive it and let it sink in. Yeah, that's become, I think with the practice of the intimacy skills, with the self care, with learning how to receive, like that's what I love about your work is actually taking action to uh, rewire without actually saying, oh, now I'm rewiring. It's just like I'm going to receive that. I'm going to receive that, and it might land up here, but then it might start, trickling down deeper. Like it's a process for me anyway.
Yeah.
So
And even your joke about it is kind of a play on your old insecurity in a way, right? You say, "Oh, tell me more," but you're saying it with this twinkle in your eye, like
yeah,
lightly, not not grasping, not needing, not from an insecure place, from a very secure place. Tell me more.
yeah. That's right. Well, I mean, part of me would like to, but it's like my husband does things in actions. He does a lot of actions. Like he said recently, we were talking, I can't remember actually how the conversation went about love and being loved. And he said, well, I'm fixing up your nest. It's like, this is it. All his actions are, he loves me, all of them. Doesn't matter what they are, whether he's mowing the lawns, just changing the clothesline, cleaning the car, they're all love. They're all love. And I know that now through doing the training, Laura, and the skills, that's his love. That's looking through the eyes of gratitude. That's his love. And it's just, I feel so grateful to be able to see that, and feel it. And some people might say, well, they do, oh, but that's boring. But it's not.
It's
It's
not.
so not. It's so beautiful, these moments just like standing beside him and just thinking, wow, I've got a husband.
Yeah, I've got a husband and he loves me. Yeah, is it
Yeah.
great to be? Yeah,
Yeah. I've got a husband and he loves me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I I like
Yeah.
that.
I've got a husband and he loves me. Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful, Laura.
Yeah.
I've got a
And
husband and he loves
it is kind of a horror to think about, like, if you had divorced. I think about that sometimes, right? Like, if I had divorced,
me.
what I would have.
Me too, Laura. Me
Yeah,
too. I just, like I said, I think I just love, what's growing in me, um, what I've been able to let go of and relinquish control of through the skills, and also being able to, choose my focus wisely, like just these moments of having coffee in bed, like I said, or, knowing all these people that we know and that we can go, say who we saw, and it's just magic. I just love it. I feel grateful to be able to share that with my husband. I'm probably repeating myself here, but yeah, it's beautiful.
They're things you couldn't recapture with anybody else. There's nobody else that's going to have your grandchildren, and nobody else that's going to remember that couple you knew in your 30s. And
Mm,
these are precious things that you share, and they're irreplaceable.
they
He's
are,
irreplaceable.
Lauren. Yeah, they totally are irreplaceable. And just having the speakerphone on and talking to our sons together or our grandchildren together, or having our grandchildren around here and just watching Dave love them in his granddad way, and they love it. And in the past, before the schools, I'd think, oh, don't do that, don't say that. And yet they love it. If he tells them off, I'm like, oh, even now I'm like, oh, like, it's not my way, but that doesn't mean I'm right. And when he tells them off, they still love him. And I'm like, imagine if I try to control that, and then have all this conflict. I mean, these skills are precious. They change generations, Laura. Truly. No, they
Uh,
do, because being able to enjoy our grandchildren together without me trying to control what my husband does is phenomenal. It's next level. It's next level it's next level happiness. And I didn't know that before the schools.
yeah, amazing. That's beautiful. It's very
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura.
So, for a woman who's listening and who is once where she's where you once were, and she's listening. She's where you once were with her husband's in love with her best friend, or the husband's in love with someone else, and she finds out, and she wants what you have now, which is to talk on the speakerphone to the grandkids and to let him tell those kids off and have them and still have a great relationship, or to have her, to feel loved when he's hanging clothes up, or doing whatever he's doing, that it all feels like love. To feel,
Mm.
um, to have him ask you to marry him again, and to pick out the flowers for that wedding, and to check out your dress while he's digging a hole. Yeah, your outfit while he's digging a hole. Like, it wants all that, and she is where you were. What is it you want her to know?
I want her to know that don't give up on your love story. Like, even in the face of all the evidence where it feels like this cannot change, it can. It can change. And what's even more beautiful is that just you, only you, have the power to change it. And also that you're not alone. Like it's miracles happen like this all the time when you learn some skills, because we're not born, we're not born with skills. Love is to be learned, and that's something that saved my marriage and got me to this place where I can, fall in love with my husband again, and also let the love in that he wants to give me, that was dying to get in there, and learn a new way, and it's like it's like some women get married 4 times. Well, maybe I have been married 4 times to the same man, but it's like it's worth it. There's a way, there's a way out, there's a way. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
I love that. Some women get married 4 times, but maybe you've been married 4 times too, but to the same man.
Yeah,
There's something precious about that. Yeah, something
yeah,
rewarding and satisfying and comforting about that, um,
absolutely.
worth doing. So I love that. And what would you say to Tess if you could go back in time and tell her what you know now? I mean, so many things. You shared so many beautiful things, but yeah, what would you like to say to your maybe to yourself during those 6 tense years? What would you say to her?
I'd probably say to her, what you're feeling right now is going to take you to the most amazing place that you could never, ever imagine. That there's a miracle waiting for you, and um, because kind of like what I said before, it's like love is, it's like it's a learnt skill. So it's like there's nothing wrong about me. It's just that it's learning a new way of being.
Yeah. And this actually, the resentment that you felt, the pain, the tension that you were experiencing was actually the portal to the experience you're having now. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. It was. It really. It was. Those feelings were kind of pushed me into. Really did push me um, into the transformation that I wanted. Even though they felt like super painful, they drove me to find something new, and they did. I found you, Laura. Found in this amazing community. So I would, yeah, definitely dive into the community. Like, just, well, I did. I dived straight into coach training, where I was just surrounded by a community of women, and just feel, you know, uh, super grateful just to be stretching and growing every day. Like, it doesn't stop, and that's in a good way. It's like it's being able to, things will get as good as you can stand, as your book says, Laura. Things, and that's something that I never ever thought I would ever say, and that is, I feel ridiculously happy. Truly, I never thought I'd say that, Laura. I truly never thought I'd say that. So if I can say that, anyone can get to that point, because I feel ridiculously happy, and it's this beautiful feeling of safety, and also pleasure and enjoyment of um, living my dream, filling my purpose, living my passion, because I know that's part of your, that's part of your training, is like, what do you want to be doing that's going to light you up? And like you always say, Laura, and it's true, I've done a lot of things, and, it's the best self-improvement program that I've done, because it's, I get to, dive deep into how can I, be the best version of me in the most feminine way, that's magnetic, that feels light, that feels soft. That's how I want to be. That's the real me. And I kind of knew that, but I didn't know how to get there. And so it's lovely being able to be in my feminine energy, and and be amongst women where I feel so supported, and so uplifted, and a place to just keep growing.
And so effective too, right? So you serve and help so many women with their marriages now. Like, and
Yeah,
without that experience, I don't know if you'd be so good at that.
yeah. Oh, thank you, Laura. Well, that's true. Like, it, it's it's understanding. I do understand what it feels like to be in that pain, and also uh, um, have manifested or created this transformation too. It's like the pain to pleasure to the, that I can, I can become the person that I want to be. I can, that, so, mm.
Yeah, you know how it's done because you did it. It'd be hard to,
Yeah, yeah.
not theoretical. It's not like you read about it in a book, you've done it.
That's such a good way to put it, Laura. Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's like, yeah, if I just think, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because it's painful to be in that place where you feel locked up, locked up with self-doubt, with insecurity, with resentment, and then unlock that, with gratitude, self-care, vulnerability, receiving, relinquishing control. And it's truly the pathway. It's the pathway to feeling ridiculously happy. It truly is.
Well, speaking of that, I got to congratulate you.
Yeah.
Last time you were on the podcast, we didn't have this award yet. This is the Best Wife Award that you richly deserve for having transformed your marriage and being a lighthouse, a role model for what's possible after 45 years of how to create a beautiful, passionate, romantic marriage. And I just can be more impressed by what you've done, Tess. And I just wanted to congratulate you, give you my Best Wife Award.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Well, it's just an honor and it's a pleasure. And I feel so grateful that you've created this incredible movement, community, and online training where I've been able to step into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming back on a second time. You're very brave to come on twice and to do your story so intimately, so vulnerably. It's very inspiring.
Well, thank you, Laura.
If you want all the tips, tricks, and traps about how to use a spouse-fulfilling prophecy in your situation, you can get that in my group coaching program. So for more on that, get my free Adored Wife Roadmap on the link below this video. Now, this takes some courage to do, but if you're feeling brave, you can do it tonight. So are you ready to try a spouse-fulfilling prophecy? Okay, then go, go, go. For more of the proven secrets on how to make your marriage playful and passionate without his conscious effort, check this out.